Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him two lips like roses in clover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him the word that I'm not a rover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Mr. Sandman, bring us a dream. Give him a pair of eyes with a come hither gleam. Give him a lonely heart like Pagliacci, and lots of wavy hair like Liberace. Mr. Sandman, someone to hold would be so peachy before we're too old. So please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring us, please, 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 Mr. Sandman, bring us a dream. I love coffee, I love tea, I love the Java jar and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. I love Java, sweet and hot. Whoops, Mr. Moto, I'm a coffee pot. Shoot me the pot and I'll pour me a shot. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Sleepy is soft and that wonderful fun, and I'll kind of rub till I'm smoking a jug. A slice of onion and a raw one. Raw one. Waiter, waiter, percolator. I love coffee, I love tea. I love the Java jar and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Boston beans, soybeans. I said those itty bitty little green beans. Cabbage and greens. You know that I'm not getting out of beer unless it is the cherry coffee bean.
Talk it, boy.
I love Java, sweet and hot. Whoops, Mr. Moto, I'm a coffee pot. Shoot me the pot and I'll pour me a shot. A cup of that
Sip me a slug from that wonderful mug, and I'll cut a rug that's snug in a jug. Drop your nickel in my pot, Joe. Taking it slow. Waiter, waiter, percolator. I love coffee and tea. I love the Java jar and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, boy. Dum 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 dum.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Offbeat. Hi, Carol. Don't fool with them on the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it. This won't happen tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Winchester Chamber of Commerce 23rd year in picking the Citizen of the Year. And it's an even greater pleasure at this time to introduce the Citizen of the Year, Sandy Rogers. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a large number of speakers and presenters this evening, and so we're going to follow our customary procedure that during dinner we're going to continue with what sometimes may pass as some entertainment. More often than not, I hope. The first thing I'd like to do is to tell you all that feel free to eat your salad and the entree when it's served, and none of the speakers will be offended. In fact, most of them probably won't notice. First, let me introduce a couple of guests here, special guests of Sandy's. First of all, her husband, Alan, and if he would stand. And then traveling down from Maine, the relatives from Upper Maine, who came down by train today, Joan Dishmore and her husband, George Bouchard. Ladies and gentlemen, most people that have a head table invite their closest friends. Sandy, at her head table up front here, has invited those people who are elected officials and town employees who work directly for her. And I'd like to introduce them at this time. First, the town manager, Brian Sullivan. No relation. And next on over here is the Winchester's town clerk, Carolyn Ward. The head of the Winchester Public Library, Linda Wills. Her hardest working assistant, Joe Dadlow. Her assistant that has the most photographs other than Sandy in the paper, Jay Gill. The former chairman of the Winchester Board of Selectmen and current serving selectman, Betsy Krager. And finally, the gentleman who does most of her planning, Sam Stroud, the head of the planning board. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce at this time Rosemary Sullivan, no relation, but we're taking over. And she's representing the Winchester Home and Garden Club. Rosemary?
I know that lady named Sandy. Oh, she's as sweet as sugar candy. Her manner is so very gracious that to refuse her requests seems downright audacious. we try to keep up with Sandy. Her projects are great fun and just dandy. She moves at a fast-paced canter. On the common, she's planted a planter. Now, she's off. It's Winchester in bloom, a super great project that she has made zoom. She's done so much for this whole town. We think, Sandy, that you deserve. Sorry for the delay, Sandy. We think, to repeat myself, we think, Sandy, you deserve a crown.
Thank you very much. And next, ladies and gentlemen, for those residents of Winchester here, which probably 80% of the crowd, we have a distinguished gentleman who is known to everybody here, has been a former selectman, former longtime member of the school committee, former library trustee, and aluminum siding salesman, Ed O'Connell. And to the caterers, Kathy, if you tell the caterers, feel free to bring whatever you have to bring. Don't hold back for the speaking program. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. O'Connell.
I wonder just how many of you out there have paused even a second to realize that we are gathered here tonight to honor a woman who is a common streetwalker. Over the last 3 decades, Sandra Rogers has spent hundreds of hours and miles walking the pathway of the Winchester Common and going up and down the streets of Winchester, allegedly looking how to make Winchester more beautiful. When I was a boy in the 30s and 40s, there was a great American journalist, author, Damon Runyon, who was noted for the characters whom he invented and the unusual names which he gave to them. One of the most commonly known one was Apple Mary. If Damon Runyon were alive today, he would have named Sandra Sunflower Sandy. Some of you are unaware because it hasn't reached the press yet, but very recently, town manager Brian Sullivan appointed me to be the town morals officer. What are you laughing at? I did not say anything funny. I thought I was ideally suited for the role. And I did acknowledge that it was appropriate to allow a wedding to take place on Sandy's Island. But I absolutely prohibit that there be any honeymoons at that location. I am already far too busy trying to shield the youngsters of Winchester from the crazy antics of the Canada geese. I cannot take on any more. Alan Rogers, where are you, Alan? You may not know this, but poor Alan is allergic to flowers. A house and garden blooming all year round, and this poor bastard has to suffer for it. recently, even the table in the kitchen is always bedecked with appropriate floral collections. And recently, Alan said to Sandra, "I want to have breakfast in bed." And Alan was told by his charming wife, "That's okay by me. Breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen." We've heard reference to Jay Gill, one of the real supporters of Sandy's efforts in the town. People think that because he works so closely with her, that he too has the same love of beauty, flowers, trees. Well, recently, Jay Gill composed his own parody of Joyce Kilmer's famous poem. And Jay Gill's version goes, "I think that I shall never see a thing as ugly as a tree." Now, I first became aware that Sandra Rogers was going to be given strong consideration for the award she receives tonight when just about a little over a year ago, Larry Smith collared me and said, "Wouldn't Sandy be an appropriate person to receive that award?" And I believed it 100% in my heart, and I told Larry at the time that I would do everything I could to support that nomination. I've made a lot of nominations in my life. Probably 95% of them I have lived to regret. This is one that I, from my heart, congratulate you for, Sandy. We all know that she has been financially very generous, and there are some institutions in the town, such as Winchester Hospital and the Griffin Museum of Art and Photography, that have benefited from her generosity. But it is not because she happens to be a person of means who doesn't hesitate to share her resources with others. It is because of the dogged determination that she has shown in thinking of the beautification of Winchester. She is indefatigable. I point out that that is a 6-syllable word. And I expect that by the end of the night, I, being a graduate of Tufts, will be the only one to have reached such a height. Barbara, do you have my bag there? I was trying to think, before I headed out tonight, what could I possibly do to mend the strained relations between, thank you, Bob, Alan and Sandra. And I know that Alan has often felt deprived because he cannot enjoy the beauty of floral tributes, and he has some kind of an asthmatic condition. So I set out to get him some floral tribute that he really could enjoy and love. And I have found it in this beautiful southwestern Mexican, it's a cactus plant. I was going to buy one for both Alan and Sandra, but I didn't know whether the plural of cactus was cactuses or cacti. So I took the coward's way out and got one singular cactus plant. Now, how do you treat a cactus plant? Very simple. You get the New York Times on a daily basis, and you look at the New York Times weather report. And anytime you see that it's going to rain in Phoenix, you water the cactus. Alan, even you can follow those difficult instructions. All right. Sandy, please come up and take this thing off my hands before I bleed to death. did a very good job. All right. Thank you for letting me bore you for a few minutes. I can do more.
No, you can't. Hey, yes. Well, that's our show, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed O'Connell, I should point out, was Citizen of the Year in 2000, and we welcome him here tonight. Now, we've had 22 other awardees of the Citizen of the Year, and tonight we have quite a few here. We have, starting from more recent and going backwards, 2001, Corey Nichols. Where is Corey? Corey Nichols. 1999, we're pleased to have out on a weekend pass Charles Sekaras. 1997, Peter Van Aken. Where is Peter? He's lost a lot of weight. 1996, Ann McGovern. I know Ann is here. $1995, Justin McGee, right down front here. 1994, Sandy Thompson. I know Sandy's here too. Sandy. 1990, Paul Mahoney. Paul. 1989, a very good friend of mine, Dr. Don McLean. A lot of money there, folks. And speaking of money, the guy who owns Precinct 2, former Representative Sherman Saltmarsh. Where is Sherman? Okay. It said black tie, not black turtleneck.
Perhaps the most important one, John Sullivan. Not more important than that.
Sit down, Charles. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce an old friend of Sandy's, Frank Lambiase. Where is Frank?
It's been many years since I tried to sniper through a field, and trying to get through here has been rather difficult, I must say. Sandy's been a great friend in many, many ways, and especially to us down here at the Jenks Center. When I took over as chairman of Building and Grounds, one telephone call, and she was here, and here, and here, and constantly here. But we got everything. I'll speak right into that one. Thank you, John. I need the direction. And Sandy, I'm here to say thank you on behalf of the seniors. However, behold a certain well-known face that brings to Winchester a kind of grace. Trees, flowers, shrubs all speak her name. She has nurtured, fostered, and planted same. Sharing and giving is her dedicated path. What is the cost? My friends do the math. Some stand in the sun, some loll in the shade. I can't even read my own writing. She works quietly until all is well made. If you plant deep and the roots are strong, then nature rewards with a smile and a song. Our town is lovely, and so we proudly cheer. My dear friend, Sandy Rogers, Citizen of the Year. However, I'd like to add one more. If the immortal Frank Sinatra were here, my kumbari, I love him dearly, he would have said to you, Sandy, "Hey, babe, you did it your way. And damn, you're a gutsy lady." Thank you all.
Thank you, Frank. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the now serving chairman of the Winchester Board of Selectmen, Carl Friesel.
Thank you very much, John. It's tough to follow Ed and Frank, so I'm not even going to try. Sandy, it's truly a pleasure to make this presentation, an award that is certainly well-deserved. If an award was made by the Board of Selectmen for the most frequent appearance at the Board of Selectmen by a non-town employee, there would be no competition there. You win, hands down. In fact, members of the board were thinking it's time for us to chip in and buy you one of our famous captain's chairs with your name on it in gold, like the rest of the board. I've only served on the board for 2 years, and during that time period, I sat down to think about the projects that Sandy has brought before us in that 2-year period, and I was amazed. No wonder I seem to see her almost all the time. The town flag was her project, and thank God we have it now. The 150th anniversary celebration of the town, Elliott Park, Swatton Street Park, the library garden area we now enjoy, the Mill Pond Bridge in Island, a town banner policy, excuse me, a newsstand policy, that's still a work in progress, a town hall fountain, we're still thinking about that. That's not completely gone. The sign policy for the town, and so many times there are recommendations too. It's not just the policy, but she comes forward as a member of the Design Review Committee to advise the selectmen on which signs are attractive and which ones need improvement to be attractive. And her latest ambition, which is Winchester in Bloom, which she came to us about. Sandy's contribution to the town is that the beauty of our surroundings matters. The look of the town, the appearance of the town is important. The value of her contribution is immeasurable, for how do you measure the uplifting effect of one's spirit at the sight of a beautiful landscape? When the award was announced, Sandy said all her work was easy. It was simply what she liked to do. Well, Sandy, your hours of private joy will provide countless years of public enjoyment for all the citizens of Winchester, and for this we are truly grateful. And now I'll read the citation from the Board of Selectmen. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Be it hereby known to all that the Board of Selectmen of the town of Winchester hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Sandra Rogers in recognition of her being named Citizen of the Year, given this 15th day of May, 2002, in Winchester, Massachusetts. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Carl. Sandy, I did notice that I've done this a couple of years, and that's the first time that the gift has been framed. And it must be that now that we passed the override, we have sufficient money for that gold frame. So Next, ladies and gentlemen, is the town manager of Winchester, Brian Sullivan. Brian?
I know that you're all aware of the countless projects that Sandy has been involved with over the years, and we're certainly grateful for that. And certainly Sandy gets involved in a project from start to finish, the design, the funding, the construction, administration in particular. I had the experience of watching Sandy's Island go up behind my office and amazed at the cranes coming in here and everything. And Sandy was out there directing the cranes here, telling Joe, go here, Jay, you go there. And it's a really hands-on approach. As a matter of fact, when I was out there one day, I saw Jay giving directions to Joe. Joe, put this over there. The first thing that Joe did was to take a look at Sandy. Is it okay? Which leads me, I think, to an appropriate presentation for Sandy. If you wouldn't mind coming up here, we have a slight appropriation for you. Seeing as Sandy has become such an active part of the Public Works Department, again, particularly in construction administration, we felt it appropriate that Sandy wear this jacket at all times during the construction sites. Now, Joe Peritano, don't get excited. This isn't Winchester Public Police Department. This is Winchester Parks Department. They'll get you anywhere. Congratulations on your recognition.
Thank you, Brian. Is Representative Casey here? Is that Representative Casey? Oh.
He's in Moscow.
He's not here? All right. Representative Casey has asked that via voicemail that I present to you, Sandy, a presentation from the House of Representatives. So if you want to come up. This is signed by Thomas Finneran, one of the few things he signed this month. Be it known that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Sandy Rogers in recognition of your outstanding civic activism, unwavering dedication, and countless contributions to the community, earning you the Winchester Chamber of Commerce Citizen of the Year Award. And that's signed by Thomas Finneran and Paul Casey. And before you leave...
It's not framed.
Not framed. You notice that wasn't framed because they have a deficit. And then also we've got a delivery by horseback from the Senate, and we have that signed by Tom Birmingham. There's a campaign sticker on here, but it's an official citation from the Senate. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Sandy Rogers in recognition of being named the Winchester Chamber of Commerce Outstanding Citizen of the Year for the year 2002. And that's signed by Thomas Birmingham and Charles Shannon. And that's dated May 12th. And congratulations again. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a little break in the speaking program here, and I think the meals are coming out, and enjoy your meal.
So raise the banner, call no glory. Let us join our fellow man. History will write the story. America will always stand.
Awaken the songs of your heart with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Sandy and 4 friends, and representing them tonight is Jean Smith. Jean? What's your step here? And there's the silver one right there.
Thank you very much. Well, just in case you think it's all work and no fun for Sandy, that isn't quite true. Many years ago, a group of us decided we needed to get out and look around the countryside. We had been home with the children for so long. So we formed this little group that has endured for many years. In fact, when we first started going out, we had to be home for the school bus. And the other members are over in the corner there. Joyce Cummings. Please stand up, Joyce. June Castle and Margie McIndoe. So we're all here to congratulate Sandy on this auspicious occasion and for her award that she certainly deserves. I'll tell you a little bit about the group. We take turns deciding where we're going to go, and we've just visited about every museum, church, cathedral, historical house, gardens, show houses, flower shows, and within a 50-mile radius of Boston, after which we go to lunch and then come home. So it's been lots of fun. And once in a while, people forget, and then we go to the movies. That's happened a few times. So we also celebrate birthdays, and Sandy had a very special birthday a couple of years ago where we all ended up on the Isle of Shoals, on the flat rocks surrounding the island, and eating lobster rolls and opening presents. So it's just been so much fun. And Sandy, we're so pleased. Of course, I must say, Sandy missed a couple of times in the last year or so. She would suddenly get a phone call from Jay Gill. And he took precedent over the Friday Friends.
I want to go, you got it.
But we wouldn't be here tonight if it hadn't been for Sandy's focus and dedication to her projects. So we're very pleased to have you in our midst. Our dear friend Sandy. Yes, congratulations.
On those same Fridays, there's another group known as Jay's Friends. And on the same Fridays, they tour such places as the Purple Shamrock and the Black Rose. And hopefully the two groups won't meet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a representative of two tonight from the Winchester Garden Club. And it's my pleasure to introduce Phyllis Knopf and Terry Safarian. Where is Terry? Oh, here we are.
Yeah. Sandy, can we borrow you for a minute? The Winchester Garden Club is honored indeed to induct you into the ancient and honorable order of the Blue Watering Can, and here is your badge of honor. And and in recognition of that, here's your watering can. There it is. And in recognition of that, I would like to dub you Dame Sandy Lyon of the Winchester Fields. Oh yeah, I forgot. And now I think there's a wonderful video that's going to be shown about all of your projects in town. So you can sit down and enjoy that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That video is going to come just a little bit later. Did Jay get one of those cans too? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce at this time from the Arthur Griffin Museum, Courtney Crandall. Courtney Crandall.
In any case, there I was. I had to go up to the selectman's office, and then I had to run down to the design review, and then I had to go back up. And in any case, I finally got Martha. And before I got home, the telephone was ringing off the hook, and there were 14 messages on my answering machine. I had to talk to you about them all. One day I was conversing with Sandy. The word conversing is in quotes. And finally, I was going, "Rumph, rumph, rumph," and Sandy stopped finally and said, "What's that?" I said, "Sandy, that's what a word sounds like trying to get in edgewise." Sandy and I met 10 years ago when Arthur Griffin recruited us to get his dream underway. I got aboard because Arthur and I were old friends and did a lot of business together. But Sandy signed on because, as in so many things that she gets involved in, she saw a chance to help bring about something that would be an asset to the town. Something that, if she could help bring it about, would be something that would be made, that would make Winchester a better place for us all. Now, some of the town fathers, for some of you youngsters, didn't think we'd make it. So in leasing the land, they stipulated that we had to find $200,000 extra and put it in escrow, just in case that we failed and the town had to turn the place into a sushi on the Jonah type restaurant. Sandy became a major donor, and she's been involved with every single aspect of the show over there ever since. In any case, with the help of many donors, borough directors, staff, volunteers, we've made it. And the Griffin Museum is going to be 10 years old this fall. We've launched some 60 exhibits that she's been involved with, countless lectures and seminars. Today, the high school has a wonderful dark room and a long waiting list for the kids that want to get on for taking the courses in photography there. They're going to have, by the way, their own exhibit this summer. And I might add, we've survived Winchester's best carpenter ants, and I must say to the Woburn Knights that are here, 250,000 gallons of Woburn water that went right through the front door. Twice. Today we have a strong staff and a board, and Arthur's will has been probated recently, and he's left us a nice legacy. And we hope to match it with an endowment drive sometime next year that will guarantee the place is there for Winchesterites for the many, many years to come. So look out, Sandy's going to be calling you. In any case, it's been an education for us all, particularly for Sandy. As some of our politically correct friends would say, Sandy has never been financially challenged. And so she's missed some of life's little irritations along the way. One day she was opening the mail down at the museum, and she screamed and upset with horror and said, "The federal people and the state people are going to fine us, for goodness sake, fine this nice little museum in this nice little town. How dare they?" So, well, in looking over the notices, it was apparent that the fellow who was the director at the time had not filed any 1099s. And I said, "Sandy, we evidently haven't filed the 1099s on the part-time help we have. And Sandy says, "What's a 1099?" Well, I said, "Sandy, you know, it's what you get from, from your dividends and your interest on your savings account." And she draws kind of a blank. So I said, "Well, Sandy, it's the same as you filing, your annual 1040. And Sandy says, "What's a 1040? In any case, during the early days, we pinched every penny, and Sandy would supply all the food for our opening receptions. She'd make Alan pile a station wagon right up to the gills, with these wonderful exotic hors d'oeuvres that she would bring down and feed everybody there, particularly her meatballs. And if you will excuse the hyperbole of an old ad man, they are simply scrumptious. In the culinary arts, there isn't anything Sandy Rogers can't do except make a decent cup of coffee. Dr. White, who is here tonight and is head of our hospital's emergency room, is going to be kind enough in his remarks not to bring up this subject at all. But putting on another one of my hats, as a director of the hospital, the board has asked me to ask you, Sandy, not to serve your coffee at any Griffin openings. The emergency room doesn't need the business. And if this wasn't a mixed company evening, I would ask several of our directors from the museum who are here tonight to bare their chest just to show you what happened when you drink Sandy's coffee. In any case, speaking of drinking, we were getting ready for one of Arthur's annual birthday party fundraisers, and I mentioned to Sandy we had to buy a lot of gin and whiskey for the party, and so, "Oh," says Sandy, "people don't drink liquor anymore." I suspicion there's a bit of Chardonnay and Brie in her upbringing somewhere. I allowed as I was going to get gin and tonics because it looked like it was going to be a hot evening. And she, being helpful, said, "Well, not to worry about the whiskey. Don't worry about that. There are lots of it in her garage, and she'd bring it all down. It was a gift that was given to them, and they didn't drink it," and so forth. And sure enough, the day of the party, she shows up with 1/2 pint of Crown Royal. So much for the serious drinkers in the Rogers family. In any case, tonight seems a good moment to go back to the groundbreaking day at the center. Oh, Lord, 10 years ago now, to tell a story I kind of hesitate to tell because it might just cause some of you to go over and dig up our lawn. In any case, everything was set for the ceremony. Sandy had arranged for the press. The town was all invited. Arthur was going to turn over the first shovelful of dirt. The press would photograph the event. The politicians would each get up and speak how they individually, personally, were the ones that made it possible to have the place. Sandy had arranged a huge cake, which she had put out on a card table out by the street out there. As a matter of fact, it filled up the whole card table, and it was there for everybody to enjoy. In any case, Arthur turns over the first dirt. The cameras snap, everybody applauds and cheers, Then Arthur steps a little bit to the side, and he shovels again. And then he steps aside, and he does another dig. And he keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it. Sandy is fit to be tied. Her cake out in the sun is beginning to look like a cake out in the sun. Finally, I think it was Sandy yelling at Arthur, "God damn it, stop digging and start cutting the cake." Well, maybe some of you newcomers to the town here don't realize it, but the Griffin building itself is on what was the town dump. D-U-M-P, not a transfer station, a dump, okay? And every so often, the ghostly relics of Winchester's past, a bottle here, a can there, rise up from the surface and come up to the top. Arthur, being the tremendous wag that he was, unbeknownst to any of us, particularly Sandy, had sneaked down to the site in the dark the night before, and he had buried a bottle of 12-year-old scotch in the dirt there. The gag was to be that he would turn over the first shovelful, and sure enough, right in there, what's there? Oh, lo and behold, here's this marvelous bottle of 12-year-old scotch. The only problem was he couldn't remember where he buried it. And he turned the shovel ceremony into a prospecting trip. He was embarrassed, and he wouldn't tell us what the hell the gag was. So most of us, particularly Sandy, didn't want to talk to him for a week. Sandy's cake was a bit for the worse for the wear when we finally got to it. But nobody seemed to mind because they'd been waiting all around while Arthur was digging potholes all over the damn place. In any case, as far as we know, the bottle is still there and it's under the Mahoney's beautiful landscape that they donated to the place. And all we ask you from the Griffin Center is that none of you just go over there. Just please let it rest in peace, particularly because we think it just might be under Sandy's tulips. In any case, Sandy, they say the first 10 years are the hardest, and we all look forward to working with you for the next 10. And as a token of our affection and appreciation for all you've done, the directors, the staff, and all the volunteers wish to present you with a new license plate. Assuming that we can get the approval of the bureaucratic people and all the wonderful workers down at Walpole, and that you approve of all of this. In any case, since the phrase is you, with your permission, we think it should be go with you wherever you go in life, and you should have as your thing. Any case?
I don't know what that means.
We walk to the park sometimes, and we play like monkeys. Dad plays the hardest, so he gets the most tired. When the sun gets sleepy, we have to go home.
Family, isn't it about time? From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Those that know Sandy and know that there is really no limit to her participation, and she has actively been involved in the affairs of the library. So at this time, I'd like to present Linda Wells and the various trustees from the library. Ladies and gentlemen, the library staff and trustees.
With my hat. Okay, here I am.
At the very serious meeting of the library trustees, we have determined that Sandy should have a library card which entitles her to free access to the library at any time whatsoever. With no fines, as long as she brings this card.
This card.
This card.
Turn it around. Show the card.
She's got to bring this card with her, though, every time.
It's your new library card.
New library card. Sure. Sandy.
That's the idea, Sandy. No.
Okay, we have a little tune that we'd like to sing for you, but we are so bad that we'd ask that nobody eats while we sing because we don't want to make you ill. All right? Go! Oh, if you, all right. See, I told you.
He wasn't kidding.
If you knew Sandy like we know Sandy, oh, 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 what a gal. She's smart and scary in our library. Oh, oh, what a helper, what a everything she didn't shirk. When landscaping, she's the one who did the work. Now you know Sandy like we know Sandy. Oh, oh, what a gal. If you know Sandy like we know Sandy, oh, 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 what a gal. She's young and fairy in our library. Oh, oh, what a helper with a fairy gone and running out in the pond. She builds bridges, stolen Sandy and get the job done. You know Sandy like we know Sandy. Oh, oh, what a gal.
Let's hear it for the library. That was a good reason to take up reading. Ladies and gentlemen, Sandy not only serves in a informal capacity throughout town, but she has been sort of the backbone of a committee in Winchester called the Design Review Committee. The Design Review Committee has the unenviable task, if you will, there's one of those 6-syllable words there, Ed, to look at designs and to make judgments on really personal taste. And it's a very sensitive job because some people claim a violation of their constitutional rights. But at the end of the day, the purpose of the committee is try to get some consistency and care for history and architecture here in the town. And she's done a great job at that with a group of people who have served, a lot of them, for many years in that capacity. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce several of the other members of the Design Review Committee. So if the Design Review Committee wants to come up and embarrass themselves, you're on your way.
Too many plans.
Okay. With apologies to Joyce Kilmer as we render, and I do mean render, his beautiful poem, Trees. We think that we shall never see.
Sandy Rogers without a tree.
Design Review can't meet tonight.
'Cause Sandy's off to fight the blight.
On some old maple on some old street.
With little doggies at its feet.
It's nothing more than this, alas.
A comfort station in the grass.
Design Review wants to ban from our parks
Tasteless signs that glow in the dark.
And bad designs that completely lack couth.
Like a like a martini with too much vermouth.
Yes, design review has lots of goals.
But Sandy's off again, digging more holes.
No, design review can't meet tonight.
Because Sandy's off planting another site.
Oh,
Poems are made by fools such as we, but it takes Sandy and a dog to appreciate a tree.
They're obviously unpaid volunteers. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, representing NCAR, which is another organization which Sandy has played an integral part, we have Cheryl O'Leary and Betsy Wall. Where's Cheryl and Betsy?
Okay, we can handle that. Good evening, everyone. I heard we weren't speaking loudly enough, so Betsy and I will try to compensate. Sandy, I feel like I'm not important enough to speak here about ENCA because ENCA has such a worthy history in this community. And Betsy and I were lucky enough to be seated with Larry Smith, whose mom was instrumental in resurrecting the ENCA Society. And that was just really special to us. But I need to tell you a little story about ENCA, and I think it was the 1996 fair that Sandy and I co-chaired. It was a really wonderful partnership, and I mean that in the best sense of the word. We were truly partners when we ran this fair, and it really started at the very beginning. When Sandy and I first spoke about the fair, I said to Sandy, gee, usually co-chairs come up with a theme for the fair, and what should the theme be? We should probably spend some time having tea and thinking about maybe what the theme should be. And she said, oh no, Cheryl, the theme's already decided. It's up and away, and we will have a hot air balloon on Manchester Field. So I said, okay. And we've had a wonderful relationship in ENCA ever since. Thank you, Sandy. We would just like to share a few things with you about Sandy. And I'm going to continue with, we all know that Tiger Woods has his green blazer as an emblem of his springtime successes. In Winchester, the prestigious and always fashionable spring attire is the ENCA smock. Sandy, please come up and put it on. You'd rather? We couldn't find our flight suits. We looked for them.
At the exciting moment when a Winchester woman is presented with this lovely item, the only doubt in her mind is, how do I maintain the girlish figure I'll need to continue wearing this shapely outfit as the years go by?
Well, not surprisingly, Sandy has the answer, and we will now tell you her secret. You see, every ENCA member is expected to work at the ENCA shop once a month. Sandy and I and Betsy never missed a day. Through rain, sleet, snow, and even the flooding of Horn Pond, Sandy was there encouraging the shoppers of Winchester to spend their money so that ENCA could raise more money for all of its good work.
And we've calculated that we worked with Sandy for 896 Saturdays, And during that time, she did reveal her dieting secret. Each and every Saturday over those years, starting when Jimmy Carter was president, Sandy brought with her the exact same healthy lunch: V8 juice and breadsticks. Not the slightest deviation ever. We tried to lure her over to the Dunkin' Donuts lifestyle, but she would not be swayed. We even read aloud from the Enka cookbook, but she was steadfast in her resolve.
And so this is the secret of Sandy Rogers' svelte figure. Now that she stepped down from her job at the Enka shop, she and I became resident associates, so we no longer have to be there. We're there sometimes because we want to be. Sales have plummeted as a result of Sandy leaving, but we are here to try to lure her back. So Sandy, on behalf of all the dedicated Winchester women who are barely fitting into our Enka smocks, we are pleased to present you with this lifetime supply of your favorite lunch. As healthy and slimming as it can be. V8 juice and breadsticks. You can take the smock off now.
Yes.
Sandy, you put a little bit of that Crown Royal in that V8. And I'll be over. Ladies and gentlemen, most of you know that the major change that has been made down behind the library, which is the complete renovation of that small island, now formally dedicated as Sandy's Island, was really her own idea, her own leadership, and the work of many town employees, a lot of them sitting right down in the front of the room here, that came to fruition. It's often said that many folks have leadership, but my definition of leadership is when somebody comes up with a good idea and then can convince other people to assist them in getting it done. And in that case, Sandy has been a true leader in the beautification of Winchester. And to document that a little bit, I'd like to introduce at this time Bill O'Leary. Bill, former chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you, Mayor Sullivan. You know, we're really lucky to be here together tonight and honor somebody that's really given a lot to the town, and that's really what's made Winchester what it is. Most of the people in this room have had a role in contributing to the town, and it's really a privilege for all of us to be together and say thank you to someone, particularly a woman who has given her money, her talent, her time, her sense of humor, her stupid mistakes, to all of us so that Winchester could be a nicer place. And one of the programs that Sandy started in the town and that the Board of Selectmen enthusiastically endorsed, and which goes on every day thanks to Jay Gill and Joe Dadalow, who are down in front. Would you guys please stand up so everyone can see you? Those are Sandy's stepsons. And, you know, you see them around the town, but Sandy's been very instrumental in this program called an Adopt an Island. And we have some slides tonight, if we can get the technical going, which businesses contribute to the town, and we know that the town needs a public-private partnership to be successful. And Sandy went out, instead of worrying about how we're going to fix the islands, she started the program. Here's the Winchester Rotary in the center of town. If the lights aren't right, I don't know what to tell you. But Strong Landscaping did that, and you all go by it every day. It's gorgeous, and they pay for it. They mulch it, they clean it, they do everything, and it's an example that people in the town see. And here's another one of the ones that they've done up by the Crawford Church. And this doesn't just happen. As one of the earliest speakers said, she wanted to do it, and she follows through on what she believes in. And, you know, her example is great to all of us. American Landmarks down by McCall School and Lincoln School, that was a patch of cement before. Another one from Strong Landscaping, they've done a great job. M&M Landscaping. And there's several others. Winchester Cooperative Bank, Peter Wild has donated an island, PKM Landscaping, the Winchester Chamber of Commerce. There's scores of people who've contributed to this program since 1998, I believe, is when it was officially adopted by the selectmen and implemented by the Department of Public Works. So we're very lucky to have that. So one day, I was walking over to the bank down Shore Road and by the Winchester Rotary, and I saw one of these islands, and I said, I think I'm going to adopt an island. So I wrote a letter to the town and said, Dear Department of Public Works, I'd like to adopt an island. Well, as you know, adoption is not an easy process. And as you also know, if you get lawyers involved, nothing is easy. So I hired Wade Welch to represent me. He said to me, as long as you have 3 votes, you're all set. Well, I had heard that before, so I said, this will be no problem. So I wrote my letter to Jay Gill, Dear Jay, I'd like to adopt an island at the end of Shore Road. You're all set. Your island has water. You're going to be really, really successful with this program. So a month goes by, another month goes by, and I said, I think I flunked the background check. So I called Wade and I said, what's the story with adopting the island? And he said, well, you're going to be all set. You're going to be all set. We'll do it next season. So finally this season, I give the money to the landscaper to fix the island. He leaves and goes to Italy. He calls me from Italy, and he goes, Buongiorno. Thank you very much, Bill. But I finally got my island adopted, and as part of the Adopt an Island program, we have a very special award for Sandy tonight. A trip to Bill O'Leary's island. Now, if any of you have ever been to Aruba, it's a desert-like atmosphere. It's very scenic, as you can see, the concrete, the pavement, the steel overpass. We wanted her to go to a special place. So in order to recognize her contribution to the program, we've given her a trip to O'Leary Island in Winchester Center. She will be picked up by a she will be picked up by a Winchester Department of Public Works truck, which will transport her to the magical Wedgmere train station. There she will board the historic Lowell line and travel nonstop to charming Winchester Center for a day of rest and relaxation. I have the round trip tickets here, which I'll present to her now. We have the train schedule for her and Alan to look at so they don't get mixed up. The specific destination is conveniently located near the train stop in the center of Winchester, and we have the bridge, which she'll be walking under. For her dining pleasure, we're presenting you with a menu from the closest eating establishment, the elegant Nelson's Bakery. And yes, as you might have guessed, the destination is O'Leary's Island, which has been meticulously transformed into an Aruba-like tropical paradise for your enjoyment. I guess it's still the same, but it does have V8 juice. We hope that Sandy and her family enjoys the stay on our island, and when you're ready, you can use one of the conveniently located Verizon phones to call the DPW, who'll be happy to transport you to the Winchester train station for your ride home, and again, on board the historic Lowell line. Sandy would like to thank the Department of Public Works, the Board of Selectmen, and all the DPW staff have made this a really, really great program, and thank all of you for being here for her tonight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill O'Leary. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to introduce Alan Iden. And Alan is confused. He appears to be. Did you not know you were speaking?
No, but we had one other video.
Yes, and you're going to introduce that one too and play that before yours. You have a video.
Okay.
I understand you have a video of from the Garden Club.
Yes.
And you're going to run that.
Right.
And so we'll run that now.
Okay.
And then you'll come up here.
Okay.
And you will introduce
So
your
I'll
own. Right. So start this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, let's see if we can get this video projector working. Is that rolling?
If you live in, work in, or just visit Winchester, it's hard to miss Sandy Rogers' influence. Here is just a sample. She helped design the landscaping at some of our most visible locations. The public library. And the town hall. The town common. Elliott Park by the shores of Wedge Pond. She has helped beautify some of our busiest areas. And some of our most peaceful. Perhaps her greatest achievement, however, is personally overseeing the reconstruction of the Mill Pond Island. For a wonderful example of a part of this town that will be enjoyed for generations to come, you only have to spend some quality time on Sandy's Island. Winchester thanks you, Sandy, for decorating our home.
Sandy, we have a copy of that video for you, which we'll make sure gets to you in the next several days. Next is Alan Iden, who is here from WinCam. They helped put together that the prior video, and I'd like to introduce at this time, for the second time, Alan Iden.
Thank you, John. Okay, see if we can pull off two technical. We're going. There's yet another area where Sandy Rogers has made very significant contributions to this community. And a lot of you may not know she's a television producer and an on-air personality at our local cable station. Now, for several years in the late 80s, Sandy produced Focus on Winchester, a monthly program that was dedicated to introducing us to the celebrities and interesting people in our community. For the last decade, though, Sandy has appeared in front of the camera on many occasions, appearing in Winchester Scholarship Telethons and election coverage at our local station, which is now, of course, known as WinCam. She has continued her behind-the-scenes work as a producer for special events such as pre-election debates, and as a familiar figure behind the camera at Town Day and, of course, the Citizen of the Year. We allowed her to take the night off tonight. So in the following short video, produced by Don Cronin, who is our station manager at WinCam, and wanted to make sure that he got credit for it because it's dedicated to you, and Don has very fond feelings for you, as do we all. We see Sandy as she plays game show host at the telethon. promotes the Winchester Scholarship Foundation, and reports election results. Now, on at least one occasion, startling her co-host by revealing results to an election before they were supposed to be revealed. So Ben, want to take a look at that?
I had to chuckle looking out my window from Town Hall from day to day, seeing the construction progress and seeing Sandy out there giving all kinds of directions. Move it here, move it there.
This did become a very special project for me. If there is any question about beautification or aesthetics here in town, she's our go-to gal.
Why don't you introduce your students? We're going to have to do this a little quickly.
And over in joining us over in Town Hall is Sandra Rogers, who's going to provide us with our interviews for the evening. Sandra, good evening.
Just barely hear you.
Okay.
But I think what you're really doing, to tell you the truth, is you're just checking to make sure that I actually got over here. So please remember, tune in April 13th, starting at 7 o'clock in the evening. If somebody doesn't call you, you call them.
Sandy,
Yes.
this time we promise not to catch you by surprise.
Well, you almost did, to tell you the truth, because we're sitting here trying to do two things at one time. We're adding figures. We're missing only one precinct at this point. Precinct 5 is incomplete, and the figures for that are still downstairs. I have with me Tom Schmidt. It's a real pleasure to be able to talk to him, especially after last night. We had quite a show down here at the Selectmen's meeting last evening. Back to you.
Sandy, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Did you say something? Back
Were
to
you addressing me?
you.
All right, and we move to the X-level words. For the high school, your X-level word is senescence. A noun.
Sandy?
Yes, here I am, Alan. I'm right here. I've got Precinct 8.
And Sandy's going to tell us about a chance you may have tonight to win some nice prizes. Sandy?
Thank you, Alan. Yes, we're all set over here with Courtney Crandall at the piano. You have to know that Courtney Crandall and I have been playing this game, if you will, for the last 3 years.
And I'm understanding that Sandy cannot hear us. Is that correct? I don't think she can hear us.
Now we turn it over to Sandy Rogers.
Oh, yes, excuse me. I guess the schedule hasn't really been followed quite. You, the audience out there watching TV this evening, will guess that tune and win some prizes.
Sandy, would you wake up Mr. Van Aken and tell him he's on live television?
That's all right. Mr. Van Aken is trying to get used to a new earpiece.
Hi, Sandy. Congratulations. You're not going to believe it, but word got all the way to Santa Monica, California. I can't believe it. You were named the Citizen of the Year. Thought I'd just say hello and wish you the best. Congratulations again.
My friend, I'll say it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I
We have the lights, please? Could you put that? Yeah, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think on behalf of everybody, we'd like to thank WinCam for that outstanding presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, when people ask me about Winchester, and they always ask, particularly if they come from outside, what is it that makes Winchester different? And I said, you know, if you could really boil it down to two things, it would be zoning, and good education. And I mean that sincerely. It's the zoning in Winchester and the educational system that really is the backbone of the quality of life here in Winchester. And there's a third thing that we have often overlooked, and that is the Winchester Hospital. We are one of the few towns that is blessed with a hospital that is functional, profitable, and doing well and providing great services. And there are And as they step into the new millennium, they have put together detailed plans, aggressive plans for things to raise the even higher level of quality of service in Winchester. And Sandy has played a very important part there. And that is really part of her non-public life. The hospital named her Philanthropist of the Year in 2001. And so the hospital is here tonight to make a little presentation themselves. And I'd like to introduce at this time Glenn Welch and Dr. Wise, who heads up the emergency room. This is Dr. Wise. The other guy is Glenn Welch. Doctor? Thank you.
I get to lead this off, and I have something here I'd like to read first, and then I'll introduce Dr. Wise. I have a letter that was prepared today to Sandra Shepard Rogers, Citizen of the Year, Winchester, Massachusetts. Dear Sandy, this is National Hospital Week, and each year on this day we present our Employee Service Awards. More than 250 employees and their families will be presented with awards tonight, and we are disappointed that we are unable to attend your reception this evening. For 90 years, our hospital has been providing healthcare services to the citizens of Winchester and other communities that increasingly seek our care. We recently placed in the top 1% nationally in patient surveys conducted by an independent company. We believe our bridge to excellence is philanthropy. Winchester Hospital and the patients we serve have benefited from your gifts, your efforts, your time, and your treasure. People like you help to sustain high-quality personal health care for everybody in this community. We know that you also have been very generous to the entire Winchester community, for which you are being recognized tonight. Joining those assembled this evening, we convey our congratulations and very best wishes. Please accept our heartfelt thanks for your dedication to our community, signed by Dale M. Lodge, President, CEO, Robert Fortunato, MD, President of the Medical Staff, Paul Andrews, Chairman of the Board, and Jane Walsh, who's here tonight, Vice Chairman of the Board. This is for you. I started to button this jacket and realized I probably should have had more V8s instead of 12-year-old Scotch. But at this point in time, I'd like to introduce Greg Wise, who's going to introduce a little bit of a production we have, and I guess maybe you'll get your fill of movies this evening. We hope you'll enjoy this. Greg?
The summer wind came blowing. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Thank you, Glenn. Many of you know Glenn, and if you do, you realize that he takes his job as Vice President in charge of development at Winchester Hospital very seriously. Many of you also know that in his tireless efforts to elicit support for the Winchester Hospital, Glenn likes to make videos. Well, he's done it again. And he's asked me to introduce it for you tonight. And I apologize if some of the material seems a little repetitive.
Yeah, I have this problem at home also. I need some light here. I can't see the light. Yep. There we go. Okay.
Another extremely important service. No, that wasn't it.
Here at the Winchester Hospital Emergency Room, we see just about every medical problem you can name, from the most serious. Let's try it again.
The medical staff that operates the Special Care Nursery Hospital, things like, yeah. It's not true. There are a number of services here at Winchester. There are a number of services.
I know. If you read the script, maybe we have this.
Handle them effortlessly. And we hope you'll do whatever you can to help the hospital continue its mission, providing. Continue its mission to provide and providing. There are many reasons. Providing perform high-risk care of newborn in Boston, as well as keeping those. We hope you'll do whatever you can to help the hospital continue its mission, providing
We have the lights, please? Thank you.
After seeing this tape yesterday, I called Brian Maloskas and said I wanted to sign up for Kidstock. I asked him to reserve a spot for Sandy. As some of you might know, Sandy Rogers has made a very generous donation to build a new emergency department at Winchester Hospital. When I met with Mrs. Rogers to discuss her reasons for making this gift and to talk about her vision for the new emergency department, she told me that she saw the emergency department as a place where people from Winchester and other towns come together, albeit not by choice, and often in times of severe difficulty. And she felt that if the emergency department were well designed, it could provide a sense of caring and comfort to the people who came there. People would feel that they had come to a place where people care about each other, where people care about their community, and where people cared about them. And when sick people feel that people care about them, they get better more quickly. For this wonderful vision and for her generous gift, I would like to say thank you to Sandy Rogers. Now, even though we haven't yet been able to break ground for the new emergency department, Glenn has been busy editing the plaque that's going to hang in the new lobby. He happens to have the latest edition of the plaque with him right now. And I'll read it. This lobby is dedicated in honor and appreciation of Sandra Shepard Rogers, who embodies the spirit of philanthropy for Winchester Hospital. We'll have to ask Mrs. Rogers to check it for spelling and grammatical mistakes. But I think that this statement conveys our feelings of appreciation and gratitude for Mrs. Sandra Shepard Rogers. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just got 2 things left to do, and there's a frightening thing in the back forming. Maybe we ought to call the emergency room and tell them we have some potential dozen entrants. Ladies and gentlemen, the committee that was formed for this evening has requested time to come forward and lead you briefly in song. Please come forward, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't think I can top Ed's last comment. I'm Lori Russell, the Executive Director of the Winchester Community Music School, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to that infamous, very off-Broadway performing group, the committee. Sandy, tonight, we offer you the premiere performance of Sandy's songs, lyrics arranged especially for you by volunteers from the Winchester Community Music School.
They're getting married in the morning. On Sandy's Island bells will call. With lush springtime greenery, you can't beat the scenery. And Sandy has arranged it all. All over town the flowers are blooming. Jay Gill is working with his crew. Winchester's pretty, she's got a committee. A church will have you working too. The Griffin Center, hospital too. The music school says Sandy thanks to you. And all over the town their song they're singing. Town meeting, school committee.
Library.
Jumelage.
Jank Center.
Design review. DPW. Uncommon. Can that be all?
And garden clubs all cheer.
We all would tout it, if we all would shout it. You've got the town to grow. We sing your praises so to Sandy, the citizen of the year.
You can sit down, I hope.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not sure the music's good. Huh? Yeah.
Wouldn't you like one?
No, thanks. Thank you very much. Dr. Wise, do you have a psychiatric unit up there? Ladies and gentlemen, our last speaker, so to speak, is entitled A Meeting on the Common. And would the participants in that who still wish to participate, please come forward. Yeah, Betsy Krager, Sam Stroud, Kyle Frizel, trying to see who's going to go on the stage first. Yeah. Brian Sullivan, and a non-speaking part, Carolyn Ward, going in behind them.
Well, I don't quite understand. Why are we here anyway? It's a lovely spot, but gee whiz.
I don't know, Sandy called us here, but I have a sneaking suspicion that one of the things she wants to talk about is another park.
Another one.
I gotta tell you, I've had parks up to here. There's no money left in the land account, it's gone. And that's what I'm telling her. There's no more money, no more parks. It's over. Parks are done.
How about the latest adventure you hear?
No.
Winchester in bloom. Flowers everywhere. Plant here, plant there. Pretty soon she's going to turn DPW into the flower garden.
Are you the town manager or the town florist?
I'm beginning to wonder. Oh, dear me. Oh, here she comes.
Sandy, what can we...
Oh, thank you very much for coming. It's truly a pleasure to see you all again.
Well, it's always great to see you, Sandy.
Indeed.
Just a moment while I get set.
Take your time.
Thank you very much. I called you all here today at our meeting because, quite frankly, I'm running out of projects to do in the town. And I need some ideas from our leaders. And I thought I'd invite all of you here to discuss those ideas with me. Brian, I invited you here for your vision and that brilliant stroke of genius that you had to hire our wonderful town planner. Todd Ford, where is he? Oh well, excellent job so far. And Carl, I invited you here for your wonderful leadership abilities and your ability to really grasp the most boring details out of any exciting
I appreciate that, Sandy.
And Betsy, I called you here. Well, really, you're the only Democrat I could find. And so I was hoping that you'd have some ideas for me so that I can move forward on my next project with the town. Who'd like to start?
You know, I was really struck when you came before the board and you were talking about Winchester in bloom. You know, such a
marvelous
wonderful
idea.
Yeah, it is. It's a grand idea. Get our neighbors and our neighborhoods, more involved and even more beautiful than they already are. I think that's a wonderful idea. But of course, we have a problem here in New England because we do have a harsh climate. We have that winter that we always have to deal with every year. So what I was thinking is, what about the notion of building a gigantic geodesic dome? Perhaps with a retractable roof, and just enclose the entire town, and that way we could be the first greenhouse community, and we could be in bloom all year long.
Sounds great.
Good idea to me. Good one. Yeah, that's good idea.
That's an interesting idea, Betsy. Actually, I had that same idea. I funded one in Arizona. It actually didn't work out. They ended up eating cockroaches to survive, so I don't think you're gonna who's next? Who has another idea?
I got one, I think, maybe you'll like this. We just passed the override, Sandy. Now we have a lot more money for the operating budget and for buildings. And I was thinking, the town staff, it's just been understaffed for years, right? We need to add more town staff.
Town gardener.
There you go, town gardener. Right, and not just one. We need a staff of gardeners at least, okay? But that's just one area. Okay? But if we're going to do that, I don't think we have enough room in town hall. And I think town hall is just cramped as it is. So, with the building money, I thought we'd build a bridge across Washington Street to the Wadley Park across the street, and we'd build an annex to town hall. Wouldn't that be great? A whole new building across the street.
You'd build on a lovely park.
We call it the Sandy Shepherd Rogers Building. How about that?
It always has to be bigger and better with you, Carl. It must be Napoleon complex of yours.
He's my favorite historic figure. What do you...
That's not going to work, Brian. You're my last hope. Please.
Well,
what ideas do you have?
I'm just thinking where Carl mentioned bridges. I was thinking out back behind Town Hall, in between the library and Town Hall, where you put Sandy's Island out there and that nice bridge that you built out there.
It is lovely.
Well, as you know, we need additional parking for the library and for Town Hall. I was wondering if perhaps we could expand that island, fill in Mill Pond, expand the island, pave it over. Hear me out. Create some parking out there. We could use the bridge for the cars to go back and forth out there. Heck, we could even have a toll gate.
I like that idea.
Filling in the Mill Pond and destroy my island. Surely you've been talking to George, the DPW director, wanting to pave everything. No. I think I've got it. Yes. I've come up with a plan. That'll be marvelous. In any case, I've decided to lower the bridge, the railroad bridge in the downtown, and have our own big dig. And I've just come up with this idea. Sam, I think I've had some plans drawn up. Thank you. Yes, as you see, we'll have a greenway where the train used to be, a lovely circular pattern of flowers here, and a fountain.
Now, Sandy, it's a lovely idea, but I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here.
Well,
Yep. Sandy, that's great, but Big Dig, Winchester, we got a $4 million override, not $4 billion.
No, Sandy, no, wait a minute. I think they're being a little too hasty in their reactions.
Thank you.
I think what we need to do, this is excellent. Great start. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it.
Circular pattern of flowers.
I noticed this. It's got the size proportions that I think I'd like.
It's
okay?
perfect.
Now I think what we need to do, Winchester. We got to do it the right way here in Winchester.
Exactly.
So before we proceed, I think the first thing we've got to do
I know.
is appoint a committee.
Okay, that's it.
Hey, Doug. Ladies and gentlemen, let me, don't ever touch the moderator. Not even Sandy Rogers can do that. You'll get your day starting tomorrow. I'd like you all to meet the Winchester's former town planner. A great guy who joined the town here this past year and is going to give us a big hand in the town, and his acting ability is second to none. Todd Ford.
My father was a great hitter, but he knew that life was about more than just one game.
The easy way out, or the right thing to do.
So when that umpire made a bad call that ended the game for Dad,
No matter the decision,
and then needed help with his car, my father made the right call.
the easy way out,
Helping others.
or the right thing to do.
Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome to Winchester, Todd. It's my job here as President of the Chamber of Commerce to thank you all on behalf of the Board of Directors and all of our members for attending this evening. It's a great tribute to Sandy and all of the citizens, and I mean citizens in the true sense of the word, that all of you took time out of your busy schedules to come and join us this evening. So thank you very much. And I'd also like to extend two important thank yous. One is to Kathy Alexander. She's the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Wherever she is, Kathy, there she is, thank you. Kathy can stop taking her high blood pressure medication now. And secondly, I'd like to give a big thank you to my law partner and friend, and all of our friends, without whom this evening would not be half as great as it is. John Sullivan, thank you very much. I was told by Kathy to stand up here and tell you all the great things that the Chamber has done this year, but I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to do is say that we have Board of Directors meetings on the first Wednesday of every month, and anybody is welcome to attend. We need everybody's input and participation and ideas and thoughts. So I just, my only purpose for standing here is to extend this invitation to anyone, and you're welcome on the first Wednesday of each month at 9 o'clock, usually at the Winchester Savings Bank. 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I usually come at 9 o'clock. I was wondering why the meetings were so short. I was also wondering why they kept me there for 3 years, you know? But in hearing everybody speak this evening, this is really a great time of year to be living in Winchester, and it's a great and appropriate time of year to be honoring Sandy Rogers. If you think of it, the trees and the flowers, Enka Fair this Saturday, the Citizens of the Year tonight, town meeting is tomorrow night, the kids playing baseball down at Ginfield, the Jenks Center has their annual meeting next week. Truly, Winchester is in full bloom, and we have Sandy Rogers and many people like her to thank for that. So Sandy, if you could just come forward, please. Now, hi Sandy. Are you okay?
Hi.
Okay. Now, every year, the Chamber, what we like to do is make a presentation to the Citizens of the Year. And this year, what we've done is we, not we, Sandy actually, picked the tree. It's a Stavassia tree. what's the name of the tree here that we have?
Stewardia.
Stewardia tree, yes. And we kind of tricked Sandy into this. She picked it, but she didn't know why she was picking it. So we have a Stewardia tree.
Oh, I don't believe you guys.
Yep. See those sneaky little devils. And we've already planted the tree.
Yes, I know.
Yep. Well, yep. We planted it right where you told us. And it's in your honor, Sandy. And I'd also like to tell you that we have adopted an office in front of the chamber, not an office, an island. We've adopted an island. Thank you, Bill. Bill's the inspiration for our adoption of the island. And I'd like to take this opportunity to announce an additional thing that we at the chamber are doing to beautify our downtown. And that is that we're going to contribute hanging baskets, flower baskets, to the downtown lamp posts. And with the help of Jay and the DPW, hopefully that'll be an additional piece of beauty for us all to enjoy. So with that being said, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Sandy Rogers, and I think we should all stand up and give her a big ovation. Thank you very much, Sandy.
What do I say? After all that incredible video and speeches and trees and flowers and flower pots on top of people's heads and my own jacket that says. Any case, thank you. I do want to make it very clear, however, because I think there are a couple of things you all have to understand, and that is that I love running around doing all these things. In fact, I wake up every morning and I can't wait for that 7:30 phone call from Joe Dadlow telling me, "Are you ready to go out and plant a tree?" I'm always ready to go out and plant a tree. Any case, you have to realize that this gives me great pleasure to be able to run around and do these things, and I really get great happiness from seeing things get done. I'm sure you've all noticed that when something gets done, I get very excited, and then we're ready to move on to the next thing, and we get that done too. And you've noticed that I'm now using the word we, because there is no me about this. This is definitely a we team. And you will notice sitting at the table that was introduced at the beginning of the evening that most of my stars are sitting at this table. And most of the people who work with me, and I don't mean anything other than work with me, you have to realize that I only run around and do these things when I have approval from Brian Sullivan and Betsy Kreger. And I only run around and do these things because the planning board, i.e. Sam Stroud, has appointed me to do these things. And I only also have as my conferee Carolyn Ward, who we sit and talk a great deal about various projects, town flags, and things like that. So this is definitely a we thing, and I will tell you, one of my greatest helpers, even while I was doing the island, was Linda Wills, because Linda would call me each morning with her cup of coffee, and she had already looked out the window to see what was going on down the hill, because I usually came a little later. I didn't come as early as Linda arrived at the library. So she would be my notice. Linda Wills to Sandy Rogers. The DPW trucks have arrived. And on as to what was going on that day. And some of you know the rest of the story, and sometime I will tell the rest of you the rest of the story, because it got to be very amusing, these conversations back and forth. Sandy Rogers to Linda Wills at the end of the day. I think I know why they're there. But in any case, first of all, you have to realize that I love doing this. Second of all, I do it with people. And there are a number of people who would have been sitting at the table with me. You have to understand, of course, that Jay Gill is part of my green team. Joe Dadlow, of course, is the person who I work with. We confer about what we're planting. we all know the Greek names, the Latin names, and everything else, so we have wonderful conversations about what we're doing. And so, as I say, it's definitely an all-together type of job. Some people, I did order a larger table, and so some people inadvertently got left off of my table. I can see one person just over there who is definitely part of my team. There are a number of people around here that are definitely part of my team. Some of my team is out of town tonight. They couldn't be here. And so what I'd like to say in closing, and very seriously, is that all of you here in this room have been part of something that I have done, because you wouldn't be here unless in some shape or form you had been associated with me, or something that I was doing and doing it with me. And so I want to say thank you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your friendship. And I wouldn't be here getting this award unless it weren't for all of you. Thank you.
Sandy has asked me to announce that she's going to stay here as we break up in case she missed anybody, and if you want to come and say hello, she'd like that if you haven't seen her sometime during the evening. And Sandy, thank you very much for sharing all this time with us, and on behalf of everybody here, God bless. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.